Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is the Comics Degenerate. Normally, I'm Indie Comics Explained, but tonight I'm taking a look at a DC book because I still enjoy well written, well done superhero comic. And this is Doomsday Clock, Watchmen Meets the DC Universe by Geoff Johns and Gary Frank. Now, as to whether or not this is a well done superhero comic, there's still the second half of the book to explore, so it'll be more interesting when I see that done. This is definitely very professionally done. Geoff Johns is obviously a craftsman, and Gary Frank is incredible. I remember the first time I ever saw his work was when he was working with Peter David on The Incredible Hulk, and he was really good back then. He has gotten nothing but better, and that's really something to say because the guy was excellent back then. He's phenomenally better. He's even better now. Now, what's funny about this book is that I believe it was Paul Levitz, when he was the EIC over at DC for the longest time, basically kept Watchmen as its own thing. He wouldn't allow anyone to work on any of the other characters or any of the characters that were in it, even though DC had every right to do that. He just kept it as its own thing, an original work. I guess most would say a masterpiece. I mean, I would say the same thing. I mean, the piece of incredible work by Alan Moore. And, since Paul Levitz was let go from his position, and others are coming to fill in, like Dan DiDio and Jim Lee and Geoff Johns, they decided to move ahead and start using those characters in the DC universe. And it's very interesting because the one thing that I find funny, is that I think Geoff Johns took some umbrage with Alan Moore a while ago over a statement he had made that many of the writers over at DC were just feeding off of the work that he had done before he had left DC. These were just short stories he had done a number of short stories, Superman and Green Lantern and so on and so forth. And I guess the accusation was that Geoff Johns basically just fed off of what Alan Moore had done and hadn't really done anything original himself. And, I would imagine Geoff Johns, who is an excellent writer. I haven't read much of his work, but what I have read has been very good. But I know he's done mountains of work. Like the Green Lantern stuff, I'm not a big DC fan. Maybe one day I'll pick it up in the omnibus version and I'll kick back and I'll read it. And I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy it because, like I said, Geoff Johns is an excellent writer. But I think he took umbrage with what Alan Moore had said. And I'm pretty sure this particular book is kind of like an FU to Alan Moore. And I really do think this is where this comes from. That is definitely open to debate. That's just my feeling. Who knows? But this particular book is interesting in that it comes right after the aftermath of what happened in Watchmen. And, it carries along like what will go on. And we're introduced to two new characters, I guess, as Mime and Marionette. And, yeah, it's just interesting. Like I said, I mean, this is just great work. For some reason, the comedian is back. Who knows why? Asmodeus is still around. And we have a different Rorschach running around. And he gets to meet Batman, and there's the Joker, and Superman's somewhere in the mix, and we have several of the other characters around. The one thing I find funny is to see the big difference between, let's say, a character like Comedian and some of the DCU mainline villains, because he just starts shooting them. like he does the one thing Batman probably should have done a long time ago. He put true fear in them. He just started shooting them. And there's one point, I don't know if it's the Riddler. Yeah, I think he like takes out one of his legs with a bullet, and it's kind of funny, because these characters are just not accustomed to being treated like this. You have the Court of Owls, and I guess what was this guy's name? The Judge of Owls. It is just kind of funny because the comedian just takes him out in one shot, and he takes out this guy, some guy with superpowers, but he put a 50 cal or a 50 millimeter round in his head, and just ended him, and then he ended one of the owl guys. I mean, it's just funny because it's one of these things that if you come to a logical conclusion, it's just one of these things that these characters would have gotten shot by somebody. At least a cop would have shot him by this point. I mean, especially the Joker, you would think he'd have been dead a long time ago. He's just a guy, who acts like a putz and is just a mass murdering psycho. You would think someone would have just put a bullet in his head and just been done with it. He had been captured so many times. You would think some just random cop would have just done it and be like, whatever, he just died in a cell or he attacked me, whatever. I mean, these sorts of things happen in reality. There's been a number of serial killers who have been put in jail and they just end up beaten to death or murdered by some circumstance or hung up in a prison cell. But like I was saying, Gary Frank's artwork, just incredible. The story is good. I actually enjoyed it. I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen in the second half. See if they're going to actually find Dr. Manhattan. I know some of this was ruined a little while ago for everybody. My understanding is the 12th issue was very, very late. I guess that's why they put out the first half early. Normally, I would have waited until the entire thing could come out in one book, but I'm sure I was looking at another year. So I figured I'd say, hey, one has a nice hardcover. It's a really nice package, great paper. It's just a fantastic looking book. I mean, I enjoyed the story. Is this story as good as a Watchmen? I don't think so. Is it in the vein of it? I don't really think so either. It's its own thing. It's different. It's following the story. Now, whether or not you would say this is its natural conclusion, that could be open to debate. Because you have the characters from the Watchmen traveling into the DCU, traveling into a different universe, as their own world just implodes on itself. But like I said, there's some interesting things in here. The new Rorschach, Asmodeus, the way he deals with these other characters in the DCU. The comedian, I think, is hilarious. Which is, right? Yeah, comedian. But anyway, I'm just saying the way he interacts with other characters. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. If you like, I think this works best if you've already read Watchmen and you can make some kind of comparative notes. So yeah, if you enjoy that sort of thing, I would definitely suggest this. The artwork alone is just worth having it for that. Gary Frank is incredible. Like I said, the story is solid. I'm really interested to see what happens in the second half of it. See if the conclusion is really going to pull it together for me. I'm not one of these people where it's just like, I'm there for the ride. Like Stephen King says. Although I've never read a lot of Stephen King's work. I mean, I've only read one of his books. And maybe a short story or two. But, yeah, the conclusion is definitely going to be the most interesting thing with this. So, we'll see. I definitely say, if you get your hands on this, I don't think you'd be too disappointed. Like I said, the artwork is incredible. If for nothing else, it's worth it for that. So, thank you so much. If you like what you heard, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. And if you want to check out some of my work, you can check out the Oswald Chronicles. I also have a Kickstarter currently going on for the Oswald Chronicles. So if you want to pick up some fun, entertaining fantasy books, you can do that over there. And thanks a lot, guys, and I'll be talking to you soon.